Hi guys, I'm Abraham Havando, aspiring beacon. Okay, so we're dealing today with why is masturbation wrong when it hurts no one. Many people may struggle with this, especially teens, young adults, or people even in their marriage. May be struggling with masturbation. So why is this wrong? I have a couple of reasons, three reasons basically. Reason one, I think it is wrong because it does not meet its intended purpose. Let's delve into this a little bit. What do I mean does not meet its intended purpose? Let's look at our bodies for some answers, friends. So let's look at our heart. Our heart is in our body to pump the blood. It circulates that blood throughout our system so that we can live. Our lungs, for instance, whenever we breathe, it takes in air, it oxygenates the blood, and the heart pumps that blood throughout our system. Likewise, our stomach, when we eat food, we digest it, it goes into our stomach for it to break it down more with the acids, and then our intestines are able to digest it and take out the nutrients and the vitamins or whatever we need for our well-being. So everything in our body works for our well-being. We can see that and we can appreciate that. So now what happens, for instance, when one of these organs is not working properly? We would say it is disordered, and for that reason we're sick, right? So now we're sick and we have to go get medication so that we could recover its proper functioning. Likewise, our sexual organs, they have a purpose, they have an end to it. So what is the purpose for our sexual organs? It has two purposes. It's a twofold end. It is unitive and procreative. What does that mean? It means, it is life-giving and it is love-giving. It is with intent. It is made. God gave us this gift, for us to enjoy it and for us to bring forth life, to participate with Him in bringing forth life, and it brings together the married couple, into that full union with each other, and that is the purpose of our sexual organs. Now, when we masturbate, does it really do that? I say no. When you masturbate, you just ejaculate and you dispose of it. So it is not leading to procreation. Does it lead to bonding? Again, it does not lead to bonding because we're basically just self-indulging. We're just being selfish and using and arousing ourselves just to reach that emotional climax. And it's just for a self pleasure. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Does not lead us to communicate with anyone else or to try to build a relationship with anyone else. We're just using our imagination to lead to a climax. So then, for that reason, we say it's a disordered use of our sexual organ. So, what's the second reason that I would say that it is wrong to masturbate? You know, I'd say because it makes us a slave to lust. Yes, it does. What is lust? Like I said earlier, it is a disordered desire for sexual pleasures. So that is what masturbation does to us. It leads us to that state. Jesus in the gospel said, you've heard that it said that, that you should not commit adultery. But he elevated this. He said, but I say to you, whoever looks at a woman with lust in his heart, he has already committed adultery. And that is where Jesus is trying to lead us to think more and to look at ourselves and see what is it that we're really doing when we look at someone. What is it that we're doing? For instance, when you're masturbating, we tend to use our imagination. You need to start thinking of a person or start thinking of someone and how we could use that person for our self gratification, and that leads to our arousal, and then we masturbate, and that leads to lust, and that makes us sin. Likewise, if I would say that it also leads us to pornography. That's a it's a very very troubling thing that many of our young people are going through. Even I think young adults, people in the marriage, struggle with this porn because it's so easily accessible. And what happens is that people would have to make use of these things to start stimulating themselves when their imagination starts running short of being able to stimulate them to the point that they could get aroused. They would have to work themselves into looking at porn so that these porn could then stimulate them. What happens in the brain when you look at porn? Even though you're not engaging in the sexual act with another person with the married within marriage, your brain still releases these chemicals. It releases dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, which give us that pleasure, give us that satisfaction that we seek. So what happens though is that the more we stimulate ourselves, then we need to make use of more and more porn, more and harder porn, or more violent forms of porn to stimulate ourselves, and that may eventually lead to sexual addiction. So what is wrong with porn? What is truly wrong with porn? St. Pope John Paul II said, the problem with porn is that it shows too little. And you will go, what do you mean it shows too little? Because I can see a person, I can see them naked, I can see their sexual organs, that's seeing everything from that person. But it's not that, there's more to a person than just her body, than just his body. A person, is a body and soul composite. What we try to do here is you're separating the person, we're just using the person's skin for our satisfaction. But St. Pope John Paul II says there's more to that person. For instance, let's stop looking at the person as a mere object that we could use for our satisfaction. Many times you would find that, in order for us to fall in love, for instance, with a person, we would have to talk to that person. We'd have to get to know that person. While, we could be on social media and we can learn things about this person. We could know where this person lives, what type of music they listen to, what clothes they wear, when is their birthday. We can learn these things from about a person, but we will never get to know what are the values of this person, what are the virtues that make this person, what are things that make this person happy, what is it that this person has as a life goal. We won't get to know these things unless we speak to this person. And the more you get to talk to this person, you will get to know her, and you can get to love her and try to build a relationship with her. And that is what porn does. Porn takes away that part where we could build a relationship, and it just leaves the body an empty shell that we could use for our own consumption and then dispose of it like a dishcloth. Wash dishes, and after we're done washing it, we just leave it there until you need to use it again. And that is what porn does to us. It makes us consume things and just dispose of it without worrying about the consequences. Reason 3, following up on this, I'd say reason 3 would be it creates an unrealistic expectation for our future spouse. What does that mean? Now, for instance, imagine, we are creating all these fantasies in our mind and what sex is and how we will engage in it. And when you get married, your wife will fall short, or your husband will fall short of meeting all these fantasies and the virtualities that you have created in your mind. So it's basically like you're setting up yourself for failure. You're setting up your future spouse for failure. And do you really want that? Do you want to set yourself up for failure even before you get to meet your spouse? I'd say no. You want to keep yourself as clean and as pure as possible, so that when you get to that point, you can be a total gift to that person. So now, how do we work ourselves out from this? What would be a proper response to trying to get out from these addiction to porn, addiction to sex, and the addiction to using people for our own pleasure? I remember in my journey when I started to walk with Christ, I struggled a lot with lust. I would always, whenever a beautiful woman would pass by, I would, that my imagination would run wild. And, it wasn't until I began going to confession, that the priest guided me and said, whenever you see someone beautiful walking by, give glory to God, give him thanks for making you see this beautiful creation of his, this beautiful daughter of his. And I began doing that, and I found that there is more to a person than just that mere object. And another thing that I started to practice was whenever I saw someone beautiful, and I wanted to remain in that state where I could just give thanks to God, I would always have a Hail Mary ready in my mind. I would always, call upon our Mother to keep my thoughts pure, so that I don't distort the beauty that I'm seeing, the beauty that God has gifted to this world. And that really helped me a lot in coming to want to take more control over our nature, over our natural desires that we have. And I think that has helped me to grow a lot and to become uh, a more lovable person, I'd say, and a more uh, kind person, and that has helped me also in my marriage. My wife, I can love my wife more fully. And what is it that Christ hasn't planned for us? He wants us to be able to love a person. He wants us to be able to give ourselves completely to that person and to be able to receive that person completely. So, that is what Christ hasn't planned for us. He's not limiting the use of our sexuality. He wants us to be able to use that to the fullness. What's the fullness of our sexuality? It's for creating life and building a relationship of love, of true love with that spouse, your future spouse. So I really want to thank you for watching this video. I want to thank you for looking at me for 10 minutes, 11 minutes. So give me a thumbs up and hope to see you at our next video. Bye.